down to it, let's talk about flies. And our lead-in was that we had a bunch of people around, and we are experiencing the same thing that a lot of you are experiencing, are flies like crazy in the house. And I think that's a good segue, Garrett. Why do you think there's a lot of flies in our house?
After this weekend, we had a lot of people going in and out. Door was always open. Swoop in. I know there's cracks in our screen doors as far as at the bottom. I know they're coming in there.
Yeah, so the big reason, and probably the number one reason is why people have flies in their house is probably because of children, or holding the door open, or cracks in your screen, or maybe not having a screen on your window. Would you say that's correct?
I'd say it's 100% accurate.
Yeah, so we didn't have a fly problem until this week. So that really goes to show that the biggest problem with flies is cracks in screens and leaving your door open. So just like I remember my mom yelling at me as a kid, right? Shut the door! Well, there's a reason, because flies come in, all kinds of bugs come in, maybe your cats run in like ours did when we were a kid. But cats always ran in because we hadn't trained. But that's a big thing, is shutting your doors. And I know a lot of you say I shut the door, but just think about it when you think how many people are running in and out of your doors, and that's a big reason of how and why they're getting in. What else, Garrett?
Okay, there is no miracle cure for flies.
Bad news.
We can spray the house and all that good stuff, and it'll help, but it's the day-to-day stuff like fixing your screens, keeping the door shut, that kind of stuff that's going to help you.
So Garrett was telling me about a fun fact about flies. What was the statistics there?
A fly lives an average of 6 days.
So it lives only 6 days. So those stupid little things are just brought on this earth to be annoying.
Yeah. I mean, if you had 6 days to live, you'd probably be annoying too.
Yeah, right? I don't think they know it though. But the biggest thing, I thought the really interesting thing was you said something about if 2 flies were left in a room and something happened. I don't remember the details.
If 2 flies under perfect conditions, could reproduce, they lay 120 eggs each time, and if nothing was there to kill them and whatnot, after 5 months there'd be enough flies to cover the earth several meters.
Oh, gross. That's disgusting. And if you don't know what a meter is, it's 0.3048 feet.
Yeah, a little over 2 feet.
Or divided by 0.3048. So, yuck. Disgusting. It's a cesspool. But we don't have all bad news. So here's a few things that we do in our house and what we recommend for our customers to do to help remedy your pest problems. And we do help a lot of restaurants and stores and commercial properties with flies. So it's not like we can't do anything. We can do things, but a lot of them are, more focused on commercial, just because there is no way at a restaurant that people can't ever open the door. So a lot of commercial properties crack their doors, which is a big no-no, but that's where a lot of their flies are getting in. So what are some things, Garrett, that we can tell people that they can do to hopefully help with this horrible fly problem? And it does seem like it is maybe a little bit worse this year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even this is the worst I've seen them at our house.
Yeah. And what do you think the reason for that is?
Some sort of timing somewhere with the hatch and moisture.
Yeah, there's no reason. It's just timing. It's just timing that makes it worse this year. So assistant people are on live, so if you have specific questions about flies, now's a good time to ask because we got the expert on. But Garrett, why don't we give some remedies of what people can maybe do in their home to potentially help with flies?
Sure. As far as the home, there's really only one product I recommend inside. I don't have that product with me, but we can put a link up for you to.
And can they buy it themselves?
Yep. They
okay.
Can.
What's it called?
Alpine fly bait.
Alpine fly bait.
It's
and
a
what
liquid,
do they do with it?
It's a liquid aerosol. It's clear. You can put it on your walls, windowsills, that kind of stuff, where they land and they'll munch on it and die.
So then you'll have a lot of dead flies around.
Yeah, I mean,
better than alive ones, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you just kind of spray it around.
Yeah, and
you gotta keep spraying it every
day. You
day?
have to read the label too,
Okay.
and figure out your specific situation and what you can do with it.
Okay.
As far as our garage and shed and stuff,
Outbuildings, if you're having people over, this is what we did this weekend before a bunch of people came over. We did
CB80. You can pick this up at a lot of local, like Runnings, Farm and Fleet. Those kind of places will have it. Basically, you can spray this on the walls too, and just spray it in the air. But you get out of there after you spray it for a while and let it kind of settle.
Yeah. So don't put this in your house.
No, I don't
Put this
recommend.
in
I mean, you can
places.
actually spray it directly on cattle and stuff, but just read the label. You have to read the label.
Be safe with it. These are just things that we're not going to come and, I don't know, do this for you. But if you so choose to use this, these are things that we recommend that could potentially work for you. We have a question. Is it true that flies become more bothersome and or bite more when there's rain in the forecast?
I guess I don't know if that's fact or fiction. I'm gonna kind of say it could be fact because they know the moisture's coming, so they're trying to feed more to lay the eggs because they need the moisture for the eggs.
And they got 6 days, so they're just hungry, right? Any other questions from anyone who's live? We'd love to take them. Again, we know a lot of people have complained because of flies. What about like those strip things and any other baits that you would recommend?
Yeah, the fly strips, they work. They catch them.
And where do you recommend? Can they get them at Runnings or Farm and Fleet?
Yeah,
or
I think I'm pretty
something
sure
like that.
just about any hardware store is probably
But
gonna have them.
you hang those from the ceiling and they're pretty gross, right?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of an eyesore, but
Right,
they do
right.
well.
What about in people's houses? I remember when we were kids, Mom would put them with those. We actually had something in the wall that would spray and mist every so often.
Yeah, that would be something similar to the CB80. It's a, I believe it's,
But it was in our house.
yep, it's a pyrethrin. It's so like
What does a
the way-
pyrethrin mean?
it comes from a plant, and it's more of a contact spray, and basically it shuts down their nervous system. It doesn't affect humans or
Okay.
animals. I mean, you can spray it right on animals. Now, the way the labels work, like I said, you just have to read them because CB80, it's probably the same thing that was in the canister that was on your wall.
Okay. This is what it looks like.
So basically,
Play
it's
backwards.
the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Instant knockdown, it says.
Yeah.
I don't know. First aid, if swallowed, call poison control, so don't eat it.
Well, I mean, read the label, folks.
Read the label. So those strip things work. I mean, try stuff if you find. I saw this really cool thing on, I think it was in Asia, this fly thing where it traps, it's a thing that keeps moving and the flies get trapped and then they can't get out. But you put something in there. I don't know. We had stuff like that when we were, I mean, I think you can buy all kinds of potential things that might help, but
Yeah,
as
you
far
can-
as like,
You can make all sorts of things too. We just take a quart jar, put a little vinegar in there, just little holes so the flies could get in,
and
couldn't
they
get
can
out.
get out. So there's different things that you can do, but we can't come and spray and then you're not going to see flies the next day. Why is that?
It's too many. Too many.
So if you spray and they land on the house, they're going to die.
Right, and we can spray, but if you got your doors propped open, they're never even going to touch the spray because they're just going to zoom right into
Yeah.
your door.
So that's what I was getting at. So that's why the spray isn't 100% guarantee because a lot of times they're not even going to land on the house. They're just going to zoom right through your door. So it just kind of comes full circle right back to just making sure that your doors, your screens, everything is shut. And, I know on beautiful days you want to open those windows, but just make sure you have good screens. Anything
And
else?
Yell at your kids when they're leaving the door open.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, put like booby traps on the doors if they're open too long or something. That sounds like fun. Is that what you do with children?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So if there's any questions as you're watching the replay on this, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. I know this is so annoying. I've been so annoyed with the flies in the last couple of days, just them being in our house because of the door being open so much this weekend. So completely understand what you guys are coming through. Unfortunately, we don't have, if you do this, then this, then this, you're not going to see a fly anymore. It's just constant. It's just constantly stay on top of them, but hopefully a couple of the different remedies that we recommend will work for you. And if you're finding something that works great that you've bought at Ace Hardware or Runnings or something, definitely post it in the comments to help each other out. Got another question. For a small business, if you spray outside the building, how long will one spray last? And are you referring to for flies or just in general? So I guess maybe we can speak to the difference of the different sprays. Maybe that would help. Garrett, do you want to talk about, right now, this time of year? I'm assuming if we spray right now.
Yeah, if we spray right now, say spiders, that kind of stuff, I mean, you should get 20 to 40 days out of it. It just depends on the weather and everything else. As far as flies, like I said, they're going to land on it. It's going to kill them. But you're just not going to notice it if you got your door open and all that stuff.
Yep.
And there's just so many. One other thing to really watch for is breeding grounds for flies. So if you got a lot of open garbage, moisture, that kind of stuff, dry it up, clean it up. They're filthy pests. That's what they thrive on. So.
It says flies mostly. So for a small business, if you're spraying for flies, so you mean like a restaurant or something? I mean, maybe something like that.
Right. And
how often are we doing restaurants for flies, let's say?
Restaurants, basically we have a 3-approach point of view at it.
Three-pronged approach.
Sure. We'll spray the building. We have big fly traps in commercial buildings. They got glue boards. Some of them have zappers. We do the baiting.
If you go into any restaurant, you'll see them,
Yeah.
but they're very pretty, so they blend in.
Yeah, it's a black light that attracts them. They get stuck in the glue boards, or it's a zapper and it just blows them up. So.
Yep. So we do the wall-mounted trap things. We come in and.
Yeah, we'll do some baiting. Typically, we'll kind of explain what they need to do also, because we can't come to every single commercial account every week to apply baits. We help them understand how to do that properly too. So. Yep.
And we leave behind the chemical you're talking about, right? And help them understand how to use it.
Yeah. Or else we let them know how to order it and get it.
Right. Yeah. Whatever. So there's a 3-pronged approach on businesses, so it is a little bit different than if you want a huge fly trap and want to pay commercial account prices in your house. I mean, that's thousands of dollars. But if that's something that you're interested in, it's not something that we recommend for homes. But if it's something that you are interested in, it's something that we can certainly help you understand and let you know what would be. Retail stores, workplace is terrible. Traffic all day, probably impossible.
Doors always open.
Yeah. Probably just keep spraying stuff. Would you say that, Garrett? Look at me trying to remedy the solution. I have no idea.
Yeah. And just make sure the doors are shut in. Make sure the springs on them and everything are keeping them closed when customers come in. But yeah, otherwise a bait is probably going to be something you need to put out about weekly.
And is there a bait that you recommend, or is that something that you have to have a professional do?
It depends. You kind of start getting pretty tricky there with the baits because kids and all that stuff, you have to have the right bait traps and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
for commercials. So if there is a specific, retail store that you're having a big issue with, then that might be somewhere you need to probably give a professional a call. To kind of help with that, to make sure that everything is up to code, because that would be awful if somebody or something got into it that shouldn't have, and then you would be held liable. Oh wow, we had the same face.
So, but any bait you try, just make sure you read the label and follow the label. Don't be dumb with it.
Yep. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that provides some value, because like I said, we've had so many questions and so many complaints, and I'm complaining too. So I totally get it. We get it. I know we were swatting flies all day yesterday with our Pfitzer Pest Control fly swatters. So if someone would like a Pfitzer Pest Control fly swatter. We do have them in a lot of different places in the different communities, but if you'd like one, we can send one to you. Otherwise, we're going to be out at the Brown County Fair, the State Fair. We're going to be at Dakota Fest in Mitchell. We're kind of all over the place. So I believe this chamber in Sheridan should have some. Do they have some still? They might be out, but they should have some. And in Mobridge, the chamber might have some still too. So if you'd like a free fly swatter, we can hook you up.